Letter to my sister regarding what's going on from September 13th, 2024. Updated September 23rd and September 25th, 2024. I'm alive and physically well. Custody stuff, weird isolation, incredible hacking and privacy invasion on a scale I cannot describe or comprehend. Life has been a disaster and somewhat of a pressure cooker environment for at least a year or so, peaking a few months ago. Best I can gather, a positive spin on what I've been experiencing is some sort of anxiety exposure therapy situation, with symptoms mimicking agoraphobia, depression, and mania. The shittier view is I've been getting sabotaged, degraded, punished, and harmed physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and physiologically for somewhere between 12 to 24 to 45 months. I first noticed things a few months into Adrian's pregnancy, but anything pre-separation I've attributed to pre/postpartum depression for the both of us. In context with what's gone on since, though, I'm not so sure. Things took off initially right after our separation. Very odd things that I've tried and mostly unsuccessfully portrayed without sounding kind of bonkers. Essentially, hacking, mass data removal, high-level encryption penetrating, infiltration, and invasion of my things, found on my devices, etc. Things seemed to plateau after a while. Then they ramped up again with increasing amounts of manipulation, gaslighting, isolation tactics across all of my life, through seemingly unrelated relationships and with no discernible reasoning. Adrian has mostly ignored the court orders and has been brutally cold in her treatment of our family situation at the detriment of Ayla. I've remained quiet because I've been trying to, quote, take the high road, end quote, but has only seemed to make things worse. It's strange, though. I understand people change, but the way she's acting is so far out of character that it's not computing. She is kind and thoughtful. I don't care how angry she gets, this new her is hurting Ayla directly through some terrible alienating behaviors without even much of a reason anymore. Too much to type here since it's already gone on too long, but truly disturbing actions that seem to help no one, including Adrian. But it's not just her. My lawyers, judges, our recent mediator, the courts generally have been making decisions and showing signs of something very broken and strange that simply don't line up with any sort of logical reasoning. I imagine this sounds typical of a dad getting screwed by an unjust system, but this is not that. A couple of brief examples. Adrian committed abuse, set it on record, and has full custody simply because I chose the peaceful route originally, not filing anything against her as she did me. 4 lawyers, 2 malpractice-worthy suits, 1 lawyer's death, and approximately $100,000 down the tubes with little to show for it. 3 judges, 1 removed for mistakes similar to the ones made in my case, 2 of which directly addressing the fact that Ayla has had no need for any protection from me in any way, yet I have no custody and only get visitation 1 day, 8 of 168 hours weekly. As of July 24th, 2024, I do have overnight visits every other week, to be fair. I waited 4 months for a transcript proving Adrian's physical abuse against me before my lawyer would file anything. Once received, another 3.5 months passed before anything was filed. Once filed, hacking sabotaged my calendar and my first mediation was missed. I attempted to remedy this by filing an emergency order, which my attorney and his boss agreed to. However, they never actually filed the documents and later claimed no knowledge of this happening in spite of lengthy conversations on the topic. Once things were finally filed to adjust custody, my custody case was never actually heard. Mediation did happen separately per Adrian's request, and she asked that I have even less time with Ayla because she was worried that I, quote, didn't recognize our romantic relationship was done, end quote. For some reason, the mediator decided that that was an appropriate thing to tell me, acting as if he had to go with her request. I told him I have always maintained that parents should work things out for the sake of their kids. However, my number one priority is being in Ayla's life, as much as possible. Then a clerical error with my court-ordered class showed me getting kicked out at a very bad time. I wasn't kicked out, and I have since completed the class. But this was still in the paperwork during that court case, which worked to my detriment. Shortly after this last custody hearing in May, which failed to address any of the concerns raised about Adrian's behavior and that of her father and mother, my lawyer quit because I had finally run out of money. This is a truly incomprehensible and winless battle. Regarding the hacking, gaslighting, manipulation, baiting, bullying that I've been experiencing, I can't describe the intensity, but it follows me wherever I go. It impacts people around me. Ask my mom about her headaches and weird popping noises in my home. You heard that right. With or without my devices, this has been the case. It affects my relationships in the strangest ways. This is really demonic type stuff, and I hesitate to say that because, again, I don't want to sound crazy. But I've documented much of this for several years now, and finally, nearly everything as of the last few months. Since going public and documenting things has been about the only thing that has helped curb some of these issues. Mildly. Recently, I haven't been able to fill out job paperwork, sign into websites to check on case status updates. I've watched my computer, Ayla's monitor, and my phone, as well as now a computer next to me, become completely unusable due to remote access and full control, as in screen takeover. Whatever this is way beyond my level of understanding, and my ability to fight back has been severely handicapped. I have finally, after about a dozen failed attempts, successfully filed a restraining order against Adrian for alienation, as well as abuse towards me. The amount of evidence I included was massive, and yet only a small fraction of what has become nearly a daily abuse of power, and frankly, blatant child abuse. Adrian admits clearly to committing physical abuse in the court hearing from July 19th of 2023. I included this document in the evidence, and I'm including it here as well. For reference, this is why I've begun trying to disseminate the information to the public. Even to you, I'm only telling about 10% of what I'm experiencing, and I'm only sharing these details above with a very small handful of people. I am not an innocent man by any stretch of the imagination. However, I'm also not a wife beater, and Adrian's also not an innocent woman. But most importantly, Ayla has had no abuse happen towards her whatsoever, and multiple judges have agreed to this fact. Yet and still, I have zero custody. This is a failure of the system on a great level. I don't want to keep Ayla from Adrian. Let me state that again. I don't want to keep Ayla from Adrian at all. In spite of everything I've just said, I have no interest in keeping Ayla from her mom. I simply want Ayla to have a dad. I think kids need their parents. We both love Ayla. Our differences have nothing to do with her. She should be able to have a mom and a dad.